And you've got like these water graphics here, which I really like, because even though they're less realistic, they sort of portray the essence of water so vividly that you can almost, you can almost feel the wetness of it. And then you're like,
Can we film the intro now?
Oh yeah, sorry, hang on. Yes. Hello, you've caught me thinking about water graphs. Sorry, I'm just going to show you this last one, just real quick, because
we've all been there. You've got an important deadline for something, maybe a presentation at work, buying a birthday present for your significant other before the next day delivery option expires, or filming a Friday feature, but you can't concentrate because you're too engrossed with ogling water graphics in video games.
Okay, so maybe you haven't been there, but I have loads of times. In fact, I'm there right now. What do you think of the water graphics in Oblivion Remastered, Connor?
It's not just water graphics though, and it definitely isn't just me. There are plenty of strange quirks and odd touches in video games we absolutely adore, even though we couldn't give you an explanation if we tried.
So, here are 7 weird things gamers love, but can't explain why.
If you open photo mode, I swear to God...
Right, where was I? Ah yes, the first thing gamers love but might not necessarily be able to explain why is a good hearty level up noise. If it's accompanied by a flashy animation, all the better.
Obviously, levelling up is good. It's a sign of progress, a little pat on the head from the game, if you like, and it doesn't take a brain surgeon to explain why we might enjoy the subsequent dopamine spike.
But not all level up noises are made the same. Some of them are so good, they send actual shivers of pleasure down my spine.
Yes.
Are you sure that's not just the aircon?
No, I just really like it when me being good is recognised by a pulse of epic orchestral choir. So much so, I might enforce it as an official office policy. Another level up noise that really hits the spot for me is in Final Fantasy XII. On the face of it, there's nothing particularly outlandish here. Some spinning words that say level up and a small flurry of soundtrack. It's the timing of this one that delights, popping up at the exact moment you deliver the finishing blow that tips you over the EXP threshold. Honestly, if you haven't experienced levelling up at the precise moment your sword cleaves through the skull of a hapless skeleton, you haven't lived.
Add it to your bucket list, Connor.
And you at home, add it to yours as well while you're at it. A good level up noise, you can't beat it. Another thing all gamers love, and by all gamers I mean me, while hoping there are others, is that moment when you're in a dark cave or a sewer or a basement and you get to turn on your torch.
Oh, that moment where everything that had previously been concealed suddenly pops into view.
I don't know what it is about this. Perhaps it's the organic thrill of discovery. You are in control of what you see and don't see in these moments. There's the pleasurably terrifying thrill of not knowing what lies just beyond the light's reach, even though it's never more than a few feet in front of you.
Bonus points if the turning on of the torch comes with a pleasant sound effect.
Fallout 4 has that wonderful sci-fi chirp, the Pip-Boy's built-in light illuminating everything in a dirty radioactive green. The chest-mounted flashlights of The Last of Us flick on and off with that satisfying analog click. A sound that, for me, signifies a shift out of combat and into a period of rummaging around drawers and cupboards looking for screws, empty bottles and bits of tape.
I mean, I would happily watch an entire episode of the HBO show where it's just literally people opening dusty wooden drawers for 60 minutes.
But my favourite example right now is in Oblivion Remastered, a game with, in my opinion, the dankest, darkest, most brilliantly spooky caves in all the world, made even more atmospheric when you sheathe your blade and bring out your torch.
Nothing says I am in a place no one has been for hundreds of years, quite like the warm flicker of torchlight on stone.
Until you turn a corner and there's a gang of bandits in sleeping bags, but that's besides the point. I love that moment when you bring out the torch, inching through the darkness, the environment slowly revealing itself, the echoey drip of some far-off water source, the hushed soundtrack, the idle NPC dialogue of some oblivious fool you're about to knife in the back. Perfection. Another weird thing gamers love but can't explain why is sliding around like we're at an ice rink. I'm talking mainly about sliding around on the floor like Aloy in the Horizon games, but an honorary mention for sliding down ladders, down hills, and even doing those weird dive slides in games like Call of Duty.
Basically, anything in a game that makes me feel like a kid sliding across a slippery floor.
But in real life, achieving that perfect slide often comes at the cost of real danger. What if you lost control and tumbled into someone? Or the floor stopped being slippery and suddenly your momentum turns against you? Terrifying stuff. But in a video game, you get all of that excitement without any of the actual bumps and bruises and burned knees. Plus, you get to control characters made entirely of muscle that have the lung capacity of a blue whale, meaning you can slide, roll, and swoop all over, regardless of the fact the human body probably isn't capable of such athletic feats. It just feels wonderful, and despite everything I've just said, trying to explain why, I've barely scratched the surface. There's just too much these movements give that can't be explained by words. They're little serotonin nuggets of weightlessness and joy, and we love them for it, even if we are a little bit jealous.
Up top! Sam, down here!
My God, that's cool.
Next up, boss music. Yes, we all love boss music, and it's not that difficult to explain why. Some of the most iconic pieces of video game music of all time are banging boss riffs. But this entry is all about that specific moment when the boss music kicks in.
There are some instances of this that are so spot on that you just feel this unparalleled surge of adrenaline.
I love it when a game pays special attention to the lead up to a boss fight. Whether it's a cutscene or just the environmental detail, you get that build up of tension and then the wonderful release when the first note of music kicks in. There is no finer example of boss music kicking in at the perfect time than in Octopath Traveler, a gorgeous retro-inspired JRPG you simply have to play if you haven't already. Composer Yasunori Nishiki has crafted a selection of lead-in tunes, all with bespoke versions for each of the 8 playable characters that play just before a boss fight. They're designed in such a way that as soon as you're past the last line of dialogue before a fight, they transition seamlessly into the boss theme.
Which is an absolute banger, by the way.
So that each encounter starts in the most heart-pumping way possible. The opening 10 seconds of every Octopath Traveler boss fight is a euphoric experience because of this. Another brilliant recent example of a game really caring about the timing of its boss music would be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Loads of these tunes have different stages that trigger once the boss's health dips below a certain point, meaning when you land the finishing blow, ideally with a flashy limit break, it's almost always accompanied by the most epic bit of music imaginable.
Timing is everything. You know, you can feel it, the difference between something that has been paced to perfection versus something that feels a little bit rushed and unintentional.
The fifth weird thing gamers love but can't explain is video game floors. More specifically, snowy and muddy floors that let you leave trails of footprints. There are so many levels of enjoyment when this is done perfectly. So to try and explain things to you, I'm going to unveil my latest project, an academic model I call the Pearson Reactivity Attention Triangle.
First you have the base layer, squishy crunch smiles.
This is the technical term for the happiness created by sound effects and controller feedback you get from these terrains. The immediate pleasure of snow crunching underfoot, or the squelch of water out of the sand.
Then you have the second layer, the giggles.
The giggles is a condition arising from the realization you can make trails of footprints in real time and then proceeding to spell out your name or draw polite shapes. Common examples include anatomically incorrect body parts, followed by inviting another person to look at your masterpiece only for the trail to have disappeared, leaving you showing off an empty floor. The condition is often followed by intense feelings of embarrassment.
And finally, you have sadness.
Squishy crunch sadness is the realization that your footprints in the digital world do not last forever, sending pangs of existential dread and fear of irrelevance ricocheting around your brain. Have I made an impact in the real world? Will I be remembered? Did I ever matter in the first place? These are big questions, but luckily, instead of thinking about them, you can do this.
Oh, how old are you?
I'm 38.
Weird thing gamers love but can't explain why, number 6, is all about opening chests in a very aggressive way. Now, it's easy to explain why gamers like opening chests. Chests contain loot. Gamers like loot, we take loot. Now we have a shiny thing. Simple.
And I like to imagine video game chests enjoy that satisfying feeling we get after a particularly large bowel movement, so everybody wins.
But it's the aggressive bit that makes it harder to explain. Sure, we can point to things that make it feel good, haptic feedback, control of vibration, the incredible sounds, all little serotonin boosts that add to the joy. But even then, all these bits are just snippets, parts of the greater whole that is destroying a vessel containing something potentially valuable with angry gusto. Splinters and loot condition be damned. As is becoming a theme with this list, words just can't do the feeling justice. So to save me prattling on and failing to capture the feeling, here's a little montage so you can experience it for yourself.
Thanks to me. It is
Oh, yes. It just feels good.
Rob. Filming. Rob.
There is no feeling quite like the ka-chink of swapping a weapon mode. It's number 7 on the list of weird things gamers love but can't explain, and it's easily my favourite of all the weird things so far. In fact, I love it so much that I could make an entire video, I think, on 7 times the weapon went ka-chunk and it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And it would get a gazillion views.
Because you'd all have it on constantly in the background like some kind of video game white noise generator. Don't pretend you wouldn't.
Seriously, major credit where it's due to the sound design teams for these snippets of audio candy. I wish there was a streaming app purely dedicated to these sonic delights. Popping it on shuffle would be the oral equivalent of reaching into a pick and mix bag. The rich heft of the saw cleaver in Bloodborne. The brittle snap of Raiden's katana in MGS2. The sour tang of Isaac's plasma cutter swiveling in Dead Space. It's basically a jumbo pack of gummy earworms purely for gamers in need of a sugar boost.
I really want some pick and mix now. Gonna go get some.
Seriously?
Do you want some of those fizzy snakes?
What's on there? Yeah, alright.
So that was 7 weird things gamers love but can't explain why. If you liked this video, it's not weird to give it a like. And it's easy to explain why you liked it by leaving us a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this and stay up to date with all things PlayStation, I'm going to explain how. Hit subscribe and click the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.
PlayStation